their training, just as future Typhoon and in the further future F-35 Lightning II pilots will go through the Tucano as its successor. In from the right, the Hunting Jet Provost, T3. Jet frontline aeroplanes became more common in the Royal Air Force in the 1950s, using piston engine types on which to train became rather outmoded. There was already an aircraft called the Newcastle Provost in service. So the Percival Company, or Hunting Percival, and then Hunting Aircraft, which became in 1957 based at Airport, decided to create a jet-powered version. It started off as just a jet-powered version of the Piston Provost, but soon it was developed into something more. There were definite visual similarities between the early marks and their propeller-driven predecessors. First time 60 years ago this summer on the 26th of June 1954, and it entered service a year later. Very soon into the production of the first Jet Provost, it became clear that this was a very, very pleasant the RAF found that students went solo on the Jet Provost faster than they had on the earlier Piston Provosts that the unit still flew, and the RAF was therefore convinced by the concept of all-jet training. Of course, the design went on to the see here was the first major production variant with a more powerful version of the aircraft's Rolls-Royce Viper turbojet engine. They also added to the T3 ejector seats, strengthened wings, and as you can see, tip tanks on the end of the wings for additional fuel capacity. The T3 model entered service with number 2 flying training school at RAF Syreston in Nottinghamshire in 1959. A year later, they graduated the first course of, as it were, all-jet RAF trainee pilots, and the rest was history, at least until the Tucano began to be superseded, or the Jet Provost began to be superseded by the Tucano in the late 1980s. Now we see the pace being slowed a little as the aircraft comes in undercarriage down, this time from our right. This example appears didn't retire its last JPs until September 1993, superseding them with the Tucano. Number 3 flying training school, the Gemini pair and the Swords, and last of all from the Royal Air Force College at Cranwell came the Cranwell Poachers. version developed by the British Aircraft Corporation, who later took over hunting, called the Strike Master. Several of those nations and others. This one, though, very much linked to Royal Air Force airframe, built at Luton, delivered to the RAF in 1961, and it went initially to the Royal Air Force College, Cranwell. Private pilots. It's still one of the lowest hour JP airframes in existence. It's been on the display circuit since 2009 in the hands of Neil McCarthy, and this is Neil's final wing rocking pass. Neil McCarthy there in the hunting Jet Provost D3, harking back to the RAF of the latter part of the Cold War, one might say, when JP was such a familiar sight. Training
Thank you, report changing to Edinburgh. I don't get Edinburgh now. Thanks again.